Assalamu alaikum. Today we'll review chapter 9 section 2 physics. Write the letter of the correct answer in the space provided or choose the correct answer. What term is defined as the energy transferred between objects with different temperature? Is it internal energy, work, heat, thermal equilibrium? Term defined as the energy transferred between objects with different temperature. Two objects are in different temperature. So what type of energy is transferred between them is heat. Choice C. Number 2. What must be true if energy is to be transferred as heat between two bodies in physical contact? The two bodies must have different volumes. The two bodies must be at different temperatures. The two bodies must have different masses. The two bodies must be in thermal equilibrium. So, for heat to be transferred between two bodies in physical contact, the two bodies must be at different temperatures. Number 3. What occurs to particles in substance at low temperature when energy is transferred to the substance as heat? The average kinetic energy of the particles increases. The average kinetic energy of the particles remains constant. The average kinetic energy of the particles decreases. The average kinetic energy of the particles varies unpredictably. Which choice is the correct one? Low temperature and heat is transferred to it, the average kinetic energy of the particles will increase. Number 4. If energy is transferred spontaneously as heat from a substance with a temperature T1 to a substance with temperature T2, which of the following statements must be true? T1 less than T2, T1 equals to T2, T1 more than T2, or more information is needed. It is transferred from a substance with temperature T1 to a substance of T2, so T2 must be greater than T1 must be greater than T2. So choice C. Number 5. A container with a temperature 37 degrees Celsius is submerged in a bucket of water with a temperature of 15 degrees Celsius. An identical container with a temperature T1 is submerged in an identical bucket of water with a temperature T2. If the amount of heat transferred as heat, the amount of energy transferred as heat between the containers and the water are the same in both cases, which of the following statements is true? T1 equals 5 and T2 37, T1 equals 10 and the T2 equals 47, T1 equals 12 and the T2 equals 32, T1 equals 7 and T2 equals 29. Which choice is the correct one? Here the temperature 37 and here the temperature equals 15. The difference between them equals 22. For the same temperature, the same amount of heat to be transferred between the two other objects, the same difference in temperature should exist. So, if you subtract these two temperatures, the difference equals 32. No. Here, 37. Here the difference equal 20, here the difference equal 22, so this is the correct choice. The difference here 22 and the difference here equal 22 for the same amount of heat to be transferred. Number 6. What's the process by which energy is transferred between the motion of cold and hot matter? thermal conduction, thermal insulation, convection, radiation. The motion of cold and hot matter. The matter here, the particles of the matter here move. So it is convection. Convection needs the movement of particles of matter. Which of the following is not a good thermal insulator? Ceramic, iron, fiberglass, cork. Which one is not a good thermal equilibrium, which means that it is a good conductor? Ceramic, iron, fiberglass, or cork? It is iron. Iron is a good conductor, so it is not a good insulator. Number 8. An arrow strikes a target, causing an internal energy increase of 18 joules. If the arrow is fired so that it enters the target at the same height above the ground as when it was fired, what is the arrow's initial kinetic energy? 0, 9, 18, 27. As you can see now, this arrow increases the internal energy by 18. So delta U equals 18 joules. Delta P equals 0, the same height. The change in potential energy equals 0. And what's the arrow initial kinetic energy? And the kinetic energy final as the arrow stops. So its final kinetic energy equals 0. So delta PE plus delta KE plus delta U equals 0. Then delta PE equals 0. Delta KE equals 0 minus KE initial. KE final minus KE initial. KE final equals 0. 0 minus KE initial plus delta U equals 0. So delta U equals here 18. So kinetic energy initial equal delta U equals 18 joules. So the choice is C.